My name's Anna, and my husband, Max, and I moved to a little village 2 years ago. We were tired of the city and wanted something quieter, more natural. We have fresh air, a river nearby where you can see families of ducks, and a really cool forest right on the edge of town. It's so peaceful here, we absolutely love it. We're thinking about starting a family soon, and this seems like the perfect place for kids to grow up. Pretty much as soon as we moved in, we met our neighbors, John and Lisa. They're about our age, and they don't have any kids yet either. We started hanging out together. We'd have picnics down by the river, and sometimes we'd go hiking in the woods, looking for cool mushrooms. The safe kind, of course. Life was pretty simple, and everything was great. The only thing is, John's job takes him away a lot. He has to leave for weeks, sometimes even months at a time. Lisa gets kind of lonely when John's gone. She started asking us for help with little things around the house. Max and I always try to be good neighbors, so we were happy to lend a hand. But then I noticed she was asking Max for help more and more. It was always something: could you fix this leaky faucet? Or could you help me move these heavy flower pots? At first, I didn't think too much of it. Max is just a helpful guy, and I trust him. But then I started noticing little things that felt a little off. Lisa would start dressing up a bit more when Max was around. Instead of her usual jeans and t-shirt, she'd wear a nicer dress, and she'd always smile at Max in a way that made me a little uncomfortable. I tried to brush it off, but I had this nagging feeling in the back of my head. Max didn't really seem to notice anything at first. He just thought he was being a good neighbor, but then I started to notice he was spending longer and longer at Lisa's house. I'd be waiting for him to come home, wondering what was taking so long. He'd say he was just helping her with small things, but I could tell something was up. One day, I finally asked Max, "Why are you spending so much time over at Lisa's?" He looked surprised and said, "I'm just helping her out. John's gone, and she needs a hand with stuff." I nodded, but it didn't really make me feel any better. I started paying more attention to what was going on. Whenever Max went over to Lisa's, I'd find an excuse to go over there too. I just wanted to see for myself. Every time I went, Lisa would act like everything was normal, but I could see the way she looked at Max. It wasn't just friendly anymore. There was something else there, something that made me uneasy. One evening, Max came home really late again. I asked him what kept him. He said he was helping Lisa with her car. I didn't believe him. I didn't say anything, but I just knew something was going on. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I even started dreaming about Lisa. In my dreams, she was trying to steal Max away from me. I'd wake up feeling angry and scared. I knew I had to talk to Max about it again, but I didn't know how to bring it up. Then, one afternoon, I saw Max and Lisa talking outside. They were standing way too close, and Lisa was laughing. My heart started pounding. I just couldn't take it anymore. I went outside and asked them what was going on. Lisa just gave me this fake smile and said, "Oh Anna, we were just talking about her flower garden." I looked at Max. He didn't say anything. He just looked guilty. That night, I told Max how I felt. I told him I didn't like the way Lisa was acting, and I didn't like how much time he was spending with her. Max was quiet for a long time, and then he said, "I'm sorry, Anna. I didn't realize it was bothering you so much." I felt a little better, but I still wasn't sure if I could completely trust him. From that day on, Max really made an effort to avoid Lisa. He stopped going over to her house as much, and I noticed that Lisa started spending more time by herself. Weeks went by, and things started to feel normal again, but I still couldn't shake that feeling of doubt. I trust Max, but I don't trust Lisa. I still didn't want her getting between our marriage. One day, Lisa came over to our house. She had a cake in her hands and smiled sweetly. "Hi, Anna," she said. "I made this for you and Max. I hope you like it." I smiled back, trying to be polite. "Thank you, Lisa," I said, taking the cake. "Is Max home?" she asked, looking around me, trying to see if he was inside. I wanted to say no, but I knew Max was just in the next room. "Yes, he's here," I said, feeling my heart beat faster, "but he's busy right now." Lisa looked disappointed, but quickly smiled again. "Oh, okay. I'll leave you two to enjoy the cake. Let me know if you need anything." She waved and left. I closed the door and felt a strange mix of relief and worry. I didn't want to let Lisa get between Max and me, but she seemed to keep trying to stay close to him. That night, I told Max about how Lisa came over with the cake. He laughed a little and said, "I think she's just being friendly. You don't have to worry." But I wasn't so sure. Lisa's smiles and her way of talking to Max didn't seem friendly to me. I decided that the best thing to do was to keep a distance from her. The next week, Max went back to his usual routine of helping around the house, working in the garden, and spending time with me. I felt happy that things were returning to normal. We talked more, went on walks together, and everything seemed fine again. But one day, while Max was at work, I saw Lisa at the store. She came over and said, "You know, Anna, your husband is very helpful. I don't know what I would do without him." Her words made me uncomfortable, but I smiled politely. "Yes, he's a good man." Lisa laughed softly. "He's more than just good, isn't he? You're very lucky to have him." I didn't like the way she said that, but I didn't want to argue with her. I just nodded and said, "Yes, I am." For the next few weeks, Lisa didn't come around as much. Max and I started spending more time together, and I felt like our relationship was getting stronger. I wanted to believe that everything was okay, but part of me still didn't trust Lisa. Then, one afternoon, Max came home from work and told me that John was coming home. I felt a huge wave of relief wash over me. I figured that once John was back, Lisa would leave Max and I alone. When John finally returned, it was like everything went back to normal. Lisa wasn't asking Max for anything anymore, and we didn't really even see her and John around. It was like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Max and I went back to enjoying our quiet life in the village. We took day trips to the lake, worked in the garden together, and started seriously talking about having kids. I was happy again, and I started to let go of all the anxiety I felt. Then, one evening, we were sitting on the porch watching the sun go down. I looked at Max and just felt so grateful. I realized I needed to trust him more. He'd always been there for me, and I knew he really loved me. I couldn't let my fears ruin what we had. I turned to Max and said, "I'm sorry if I ever doubted you." He looked a little surprised. "What do you mean?" I smiled. "Just because I love you and I know you'd never do anything to hurt me." Max took my hand and said, "I love you too, Anna. I'd never do anything to hurt you." Right then, I just felt this sense of peace. Lisa had been a blip, a small issue, but Max and I were building something much bigger, our life together. Time went on, and we pretty much forgot about the whole thing. John and Lisa ended up moving away a few months later because John got a new job in the city. After they were gone, the village went back to being perfectly quiet. Max and I started making plans for the future, and our relationship got even stronger. I learned that trust and talking things out are the most important parts of a relationship, no matter what bumps in the road come along. I know Max and I can get through anything together. The end.